Facebook. We had a little audio difficulty, and so we've ironed that out.
Have we?
Well, I think
Is it ironed out, Steve?
Well, Facebook is saying no, but
Besides that, are we still streaming to...
and we're recording.
Okay,
All right, we're
well,
recording.
great. So hopefully you can hear
The
us.
5
if you're-
people that were watching, and we'll
Yeah,
figure it
I
out.
think it's 6.5.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Who's that half person?
Yeah. Where in the world is MSNBC's Morning Joe? In Washington, in New York, or in a cozy Florida home? Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Behind the Media. I'm Dan Lothian.
And I'm Jimmy Young.
We find the interesting in media so you don't have to go searching for it. Like us on Facebook, use the hashtag Behind the Media to engage with us on Twitter, and listen on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and the CLNS Media Network. Today's episode is powered by Away, thoughtful standards for modern travel. Away makes suitcases for the way we all travel, with features like an ejectable TSA-approved battery or built-in front pocket. They come in a range of colors and materials that suit your travel style. For $20 off a suitcase, visit awaytravel.com and enter promo code CLNS. So people are buzzing about this, and it's great. It's sort of behind-the-scenes stuff that I think people kind of eat up. And I know you and I had this discussion as we were doing, sort of the rundown and trying to figure out what story should stay in and go or get thrown out. And this is kind of, I saw again another reference is are they hiding something from their audience?
Dan, did you ever wear shorts behind the anchor desk?
I did.
Okay,
I have
so
on
did
shorts
I.
right now.
Come
No,
on.
I'm just kidding. In fact, yeah.
There's so
Once
many
I was
things,
on without shorts. No,
there's so
just
many
kidding.
things that happen in media
Yeah.
that if you're just watching or listening, you really don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And you do assume as a viewer that if a person has the cityscape of Boston or New York or San Francisco or LA behind you,
Right.
you assume that you're in that city.
Yes, you do.
However, you could be on Mars. We could go back to Mars again.
Yes.
And you could be doing it live from Mars.
You could be from anywhere.
And
In fact, some people don't think we went to the moon.
right. They use green screen. Green screen is a magical thing in television and in film where you film the subject in front of a green wall or a green sheet, and then you superimpose an image or a video behind that person.
Right. And so the case, and I make this example, when I was running CNN's Boston Bureau, the Bureau is actually located in Brookline, Massachusetts.
Which is
it's its own city.
right. And
it
it's the first suburb, if you will.
It's
of
a
Boston.
suburb of Boston, but it is
Right.
not Boston.
No, it is not.
It is its own city.
Right.
And when we did live shots from there, we put not a Brookline skyline because there wouldn't be a Brookline skyline.
Well, there is a Brookline skyline now.
There
I think.
is?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yes,
I've been up on the rooftops. It's pretty cool.
Well, but there isn't a real skyline.
Correct.
And so you use Boston as your skyline.
Right.
And we called it the Boston Bureau.
Right.
But in the interest of full transparency, that would be known as the Brookline Bureau with a maybe a shot of an intersection with a four-way light or something
Right.
like that. That would be the most transparent thing. But nonetheless, this is done all the time in our industry, where
Right.
radio guys have been doing this for a long time. They get these ISDN lines put into their homes so that it's as crisp as being in studio, except you are
In your basement.
in your basement, or
Right.
in your bedroom.
Right. And there are
or
a
in the
lot
bathroom.
of shows out there on a lot of different networks doing this. And there's actually a company here we're in Wellesley, which is another suburb of Boston, west of Boston. There's another city in between Brookline and Wellesley called Newton, which
Right.
is my home city. And there's a company called VideoLink.
Right.
And VideoLink has studios that CNN and ESPN and MSNBC own, and they can put whatever they want behind you.
Anything you want.
Right, and that's where you get to see Bob Ryan or Jackie McMullen. If you're a sports fan, they're always there.
Yep.
And you also get Alan Dershowitz there, too,
Alan
whether
he used
you
to
want
come
him
in-
there or not.
Alan Dershowitz used to come into the Boston Bureau.
I'm sure he did.
And so did David Gergen. All those guys would always come into the Boston Bureau whenever they were doing stuff. But yes, those guys cornered the market on this kind of these pop-up studios, if you will,
Right.
that make it look like you're anywhere,
Right.
When you're not.
Right.
But
So why is somebody upset about this?
Well,
this is what freaks me out.
Well, so, Mika and Joe Scarborough, obviously they do this, which is a quite popular, one of the most popular, not the most popular, one of the most popular shows at MSNBC. And there is something, well, they're now together. They're a thing. I think they got married, right? They're married to each other now. And
I don't
you
follow
didn't know
that.
this.
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
I actually had heard of Joe, though. I knew that. I knew that
he used
this
to be
show
a
existed.
representative. Yes, and,
Yes.
but they're big shots over there. And so the reason the show has been, I guess, popular is because there's a chemistry between the two of them, literally.
And Lord knows that we hope so if they happen to be married.
And
Right.
so, but when you're together on a set with your guests coming on the set, there tends to be a better, I think, interaction. For example, Jimmy, if you did this show, you were in your home, and I was sitting back in my home down the street. We could do the show. I think it'd be fine, but I think it's a better show when we're in studio.
Certainly, because we can make eye contact and
Yes.
and read each other,
Right.
to know when you've shut up and now it's
Exactly.
my turn.
And it makes for a better show. And so that's the reason we're talking about for two reasons. First of all, there are those apparently inside MSNBC that are a little concerned about, whether the show will continue to maintain the vibe that it currently, or it had, from the two of them being in studio. But then the second one is, they really haven't said where they're broadcasting from. So they're
Well, I thought it was from Jupiter, Florida.
No. Well, that's what was reported, and that's what the information has come out now. But as a show, they did not say, by the way, there's Washington, D.C. behind me, and I'm fooling you to make you think I'm in D.C. when I'm sitting back looking at the ocean in Jupiter, Florida.
Which, by the way, would be a great bit, and I have no problem with it. I think that's exactly what they could do. Self-deprecating humor is by far the best type of humor.
Oh, no, definitely. And when we were talking about doing our story planning, you brought up that commercial. With that guy who's trying, it's a tax thing,
right?
It's a tax. What's that tax pop up? Steven, what's the tax commercial?
TurboTax.
Yeah, thank you. And it's
You're welcome, Steve.
And there's a guy who's there. He thinks that there's a green screen. There's a shot behind him. It's not a green screen. It's a monitor.
It's a conference room setting, and
right.
they're doing a conference call that's a visual call.
Right.
So one of their workers is in his suit and tie. And
that's a different one.
Isn't that the one?
Oh, I thought that's the one.
No. Then he
that's
sneezed, and then he sneezed.
And he stands up and he shows his shorts.
And he's got his boxer shorts on.
I didn't know that's the one you were referring to. That is one of them.
Yeah.
Yes, but the other one is the guy who they show the monitor of a beautiful a yacht behind him, and he has a daiquiri.
Oh, that's right. And I have my that's my yacht.
That's my yacht right there.
Right.
And it's all put in the screen behind him, and it turns out they can't see or whatever. But the bottom line is that
it's just an audio call. Steve.
So the question is this: from an ethical standpoint, are you lying to the audience when you keep putting the nation's capital behind you when you're sitting in a bedroom?
So it's
in
a
Jupiter,
lie
Florida?
of omission, Dan.
Yeah.
A real lie.
Well,
if you're not going to talk about it, if you're not going to mention it, and it's just there for show,
right?
What's the difference?
The difference is when people find out about stuff like this. The current climate, Jimmy.
Go ahead.
Where anything that
the media
we
does.
say,
that's right.
You're liars. You're faking.
Right.
It's fake news. We haven't heard that in a while.
Right.
We haven't used it in a while.
But the whole thing in Washington, D.C. was created by fake news.
Yeah, but we didn't say fake news.
No, we didn't call it that.
So, if that is the current climate, when people see that you are when they find out, maybe not see, when they find out that you're, in Florida, pretending like you're in D.C. or elsewhere, then they think, what else are you lying about?
Right.
I mean, I think it's that, and you may not be lying about anything, but there's a certain level of transparency. And if you come out and say, you know what I would have done? I would have said, I am down in Florida caring for my aging parents, which
100%,
apparently that's the reason they're there.
And
right?
And that's an awesome reason to be there.
That's an awesome, and you know what? Your numbers would go up because I think
Correct.
the audience would say, wow, they're human beings.
Right.
They make boatloads of money, but they still hop on a plane and spend time with their parents down in Florida.
Right.
And apparently they both own a home down there, and they're close to their relatives. And so why not begin that show on the first day that they're going to fake it and say, welcome from our studio in Jupiter, Florida.
Our southern studio.
Yeah, where we're here, and here's the reason we're here. We'll continue to put the Washington, D.C. backdrop or whatever behind us just to keep continuity going with the show and what you're used to seeing on our set. But just want to let you, in the interest of whatever, and then every week, whenever you say you put your lower thirds, that's the graphic that goes underneath you when you're I would put, I would put whatever you're going to put there and then put over via Jupiter, Florida.
Right.
I just think that's, you need to do that.
These days, let's not fake it, guys. Let's just tell it like it is.
Exactly. And I don't think I need to say anything more after that, Jimmy. If you like the show, let us know. Like us on Facebook. Use the hashtag #BehindTheMedia to engage with us on Twitter. And then drop us a line at info@littlepartmedia.com. That's info@littlepartmedia.com. Time to get smarter, or at least better informed, with some quick hits, what we like to call bites behind the media. Hello, everybody. I'm Dan Lothian.
And I'm Jimmy Young.
We find the interesting in media so you don't have to go searching for it. Like us on Facebook. Use the hashtag #BehindTheMedia to engage with us on Twitter. And listen on iTunes, iHeart Radio, and the CLNS Media Network. Today's episode is powered by Away, thoughtful standards for modern travel. Away makes suitcases for the way we all travel, with features like an ejectable TSA-approved battery or built-in front pocket. They come in a range of colors and materials that suit your travel style. For $20 off a suitcase, visit awaytravel.com and enter promo code CLNS. So we have a whole list of things. Would you like to go first, Jimmy? Or would you like
I
me
love
to?
this.
Okay.
Because this is a visual aid.
Okay.
All right. And for those of you who are just listening to this, imagine you're looking at the cover of Sports Illustrated magazine.
Yes.
A magazine that's been
The
around.
February cover?
No,
you know why I say
this
that.
week's.
No, that's-
not the February cover. You're thinking about the swimsuit edition?
Yes, I was.
We'll get to that in a
Okay.
couple weeks.
I'm sure they won't be covering that baby up.
That's the week. Well, you never know.
No, because that one...
I know. Being on the cover is prestigious.
Exactly.
Okay.
And plus, people walk by and see the cover.
Correct.
Yes.
Well, now, this showed up in my mailbox yesterday, and then ended up on my car seat because
That's what happens.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
I looked at it and I went, "Oh my God, this is a cover takeover."
Mm-hmm.
And up above you see in very small print advertisement. Now we still live streaming. Do we still have a video recording of this? All right, so I'm going to put it up over on my camera. Okay. You can see
For
it's
those
the
of you
Sports Illustrated
If
cover.
you're listening to this, it's a red truck.
It's a red truck
Blue font sports.
And
Partially blue font and red font.
with a
illustrated.
Chevy truck.
And a Chevy truck.
So it's a Chevy advertisement with my address on it, I might add, down here.
Yeah, cover that up because
Okay.
we don't want people to harass you. They'll
Okay,
zoom
there you
in
go. You
and
happy
get
now?
Yes,
Is that it?
yes.
My arthritic fingers are covering it up.
That's okay.
And this is, I got to tell you, this is another sign of declining revenue in print.
Got to make the money.
They have to think outside the box.
That's a good-
What
yeah.
do we have that's worth something to an advertiser
Right.
that we can sell to our declining audience
Yeah.
for a premium?
Front cover. Next thing
Front
will be
cover.
the binder.
And
Like
and,
a-
and here's the thing that Dan explained to me, because I looked at it and I go, Dan, why is LUST in red and the rest of the words of Sports Illustrated in blue?
Right.
And of course,
LUST says
lust. And we
they're
both
probably-
said, oh, that's because sex sells.
Exactly.
Now, did
Plus,
you read?
they want you to lust for the truck. And they made it a red truck.
And they made another
like
sexual.
little red dress.
There's another sexual double
Yeah,
entendre on
yeah.
this cover.
Rated.
Keep going. At the bottom, what's it say?
The all-new Chevy Silverado, this year's pick to go all the way.
All the way. Lust.
Oh, my
all the
goodness.
way.
Yeah,
See? But
yeah.
more importantly, look us on the real cover.
Oh, yeah.
My Patriots.
Please
going to the
send-
Super Bowl
Please
again.
send all emails and barbs to Jimmy,
Anyway,
who is
I found that fascinating.
who is just being a crazy.
I remember when I
Patriots
worked
fan.
at the Boston Globe when
Yeah.
they put sticky notes on the front page and the big debate
Yeah.
between church and state and editorial and sales, and,
Yeah.
and then they put a bottom third banner on the front page that they could sell to.
That was so yesterday.
Well, I mean, okay.
Speaking about
Today
the
I
Boston
got the
Globe,
Sports Illustrated.
Newspapers in trouble again. Another sign of the declining interest in
Yes.
newspapers and trying to figure out how do you make money at it.
Right, sell the cover.
Yeah, Gannett Verizon Media, which owns
USA Today?
No, HuffPost. So
Oh.
Gannett is USA Today,
Right.
and about 190 or so other newspapers,
Yep.
and then Verizon Media owns HuffPost and some other publications as well, and then BuzzFeed. They all slashed jobs, anywhere from 2-point-something% to 15%, hundreds of jobs lost. I believe the total count of recent, it has been about 1,000 people who have lost their jobs. You know, we've talked about this, Jimmy. It's like, and you just sort of alluded to that with why they put something different. They sell the front cover. Everyone's trying to figure out in this rapidly changing environment
in media.
in media,
Commercial media.
how do you make money?
Right.
How do you keep at the level that you used to, where it was just a few advertiser dollars for a few publications, and now everybody is clawing for the same pot and not enough money to feed it.
Right. And, you know, it's like supply and demand, Dan. You got to figure out at some point there's declining audiences, so they're increasing somewhere. They're going somewhere.
Right.
And instead of broadcasting, we are seeing niche casting.
Right.
We're seeing smaller audiences that are still dedicated to that particular media source.
Right. And that's the model that's working.
That's the model right now. And you're going to find more and more subscription-based news services.
Exactly. Now, this one's right up your alley. Big ratings for the NFL. The last two championship games that we just saw.
Well, I got to tell you, think about that, Dan.
Yeah.
There's never been two overtime conference championships on the same day.
Exactly.
I mean, from 3
Well, you should
p.m.
argue that one really wasn't overtime, because it shouldn't have gone to overtime.
Ooh, yes.
Yes, exactly.
And the commissioner's under fire again for that, too, because he disappears whenever there's controversy,
Right.
unless he can control it.
Isn't
And he
that
can't
something?
control it.
He can't control it, yes. But the ratings, so
The
for
ratings
the
are up
Patriots
and huge. Yep, the Patriots, I believe it was a 76 share in this market. I think something like a 48 rating for
it was huge.
in the Boston market. At Kansas
A big
City was
jump.
83%.
It's like a 20-some% jump over last year.
And, of course, in this town, in Boston, of course, you can compare it to past Super Bowl appearances, since there's been 9 of them now in the last 18 years. It's just ridiculous.
Oh,
The
my
rest of the
goodness.
country hates the Patriots.
Yes,
and I don't
they
blame
do.
them, by the way. I hated the Yankees when they were in the World Series all the time.
Hey, all this hate. Can't we
It's a
all
bad.
just get
I
along?
agree.
Okay.
Especially in sports,
Okay.
we can have an extreme dislike.
Yes, exactly, but not hate.
Hate is a bad word.
So the other one, and I left my notes on this, but the from HBO, from The Sopranos, he passed away.
James
at
Gandolfini.
right.
Yeah.
So he passed away at 51 back in 2013, I believe it was,
Yeah.
of a heart attack.
Yeah.
And his son, I didn't realize that his son, who I believe his name is Michael.
Okay.
But his son, who's an actor and does make appearances on another HBO show, well, there is now a prequel that's coming out to the Sopranos show, and guess who's going to
The son.
play
The dad.
a younger?
Oh, that's great.
A younger.
That's
dad.
awesome.
It's going to be the son.
And that's very creative. That was the
Yeah.
first cult viewing show that was on a non-commercial.
Commercial. I think you're
Even
right.
though
One
I
of it.
can't call
Sex
it.
and the City
HBO
was as well.
is a paid service.
Yeah, but it's
okay.
But I know what you mean by that.
Right.
Sex and the City was another one. It was like cult following. A must watch.
But was Sex
stuff.
in the City on
Like, who was
TBS though first? Wasn't it?
No. I think that came after. I think it
Okay.
was on Showtime.
It was
Or
on
maybe-
Showtime
I don't
first?
know. I'm probably getting a bunch
Anyway.
of wrong info. But that was a big one. Everybody
We're
liked it.
supposed to know what we're talking about.
Yes, we don't. At least not when it comes to this entertainment stuff.
Right.
But we found it interesting. And I there was something that was said on a radio show I was listening to that the reason they hired him, because who else could capture the mannerisms of the dad
And the son.
than the son?
Because after all, we do become our parents in some
Well,
capacity.
we do, yeah. And
Or
what do they
we
say?
try,
The fruit
or we
doesn't
try
fall-
to avoid it.
Right. And what does they say? The fruit doesn't fall too far from the tree?
Right. Well, the acorn certainly
Or the
doesn't.
acorn.
Yeah.
I got hit in the
or
head by
breaks.
an acorn one time.
It hurts.
Yes. So, and finally, on a more serious note, capturing the last Holocaust voices. This is, here in the United States, we've covered there are a lot of documentaries and a lot of content around interviewing Holocaust survivors. As you know, Jimmy, most of them are in their upper 80s, 90s. We're running out of those who can sit down across from you and tell you what it was like to be sent off to the camps, to watch the horror of the Holocaust. And so there is a documentary that will be coming out, I guess, on this weekend, on the 27th.
That would be this
which is
weekend.
kind of a Holocaust memorial in the UK. And they will be, the whole purpose of giving voices, the last remaining voices in the UK, who can talk about what it was like, and capturing that for historical purposes as well. So, I mean, by all accounts, a powerful documentary.
And there's another documentary that's causing some issues at the Sundance Festival, and it's on Michael Jackson.
Oh.
And there has not been a trailer created for this.
And we don't mean like
no one
a
has
trailer you
seen
hook
a
up to your
preview.
pickup truck.
No
We're
one
talking
has
movie
seen
trailer.
any footage before this airs for the first time at the Sundance Film Festival.
Yeah. So what's the controversy?
I believe they have 2 victims of Michael Jackson's,
Oh, so they're going into
Issues.
the issues of Michael,
and
not,
they have
not his
2.
music.
Not his music, but his actions.
His
And-
off the studio actions. or
Correct.
out of the studio
Correct.
actions. Yes.
And
okay.
and that is a tad controversial. Let's just say the estate of Michael Jackson's not very happy about it either.
I can imagine.
Right.
So, do you feel like you've been fed? Did we give you enough vitamins? Did we throw in some greens, some great steak, some
I'm
rice and potatoes? And
I'm
meat and
doing
so forth?
meat and potatoes on the grill tonight.
Yeah, good. What time should I show up?
6:30.
Oh, and you'll be done eating by then, right? Is
No.
that why? Hey, thanks for listening and enjoying this podcast along with us. We know you did because we did. So share it. Keep listening on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and the CLNS Media Network. For our director, Steve Helmuth, I'm Dan Lothian.
And I'm Jimmy Young.
And now you know what's behind the media.